This is Future Talk.
Future Talk.
Future Talk with Omnia Al Saleh and Hani Balkis.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday. You're listening to Future Talk right here on Pulse 95. This is the one and only place where we give you a quick roundup of everything that is happening in the tech world, in the UAE, and around the world. Lots is happening right here in the UAE today, isn't it, Hani?
Yes, indeed, Omni, 100%. Tell him.
Tell him?
I feel like no one can execute it better than you.
Well, we have lots going on, especially right here in the Pulse 95 studios. But we're going to be talking all about Mars because the Perseverance rover has actually landed on Mars this week. So our very own Hope probe is not lonely on the red planet anymore. And we're going to be telling you exactly what NASA is planning to do with this rover. Rumor has it they may just be flying a helicopter on Mars for the very first time.
Yes, and if your Apple Watch still won't charge after the latest update, Apple will now fix it for free. All you gotta do is take your Apple Watch to Apple.
Yes, indeed. Lots is happening on the show in terms of artificial intelligence and scheduling because we've constantly talked about the role of AI in healthcare. But did you know that whenever you're making appointments with your health practitioners or even making an appointment with your own trainer at the gym, artificial intelligence is involved in this process? How does AI help us schedule our different appointments, and can it actually help us predict certain trends and prevent no-shows or cancellations at hospitals? This is all what we're going to be finding out about with our advanced digital transformation consultant, Melda Akin, who's going to be joining us to tell us all about it. She's also the co-founder of an AI and machine learning organization known as D14 AI.
Yes, a lot of interesting things to talk about right here on the show. So keep Pulse 95 locked because we're going to be right back.
Daily digital news. Bits and bytes connect our world.
We've been talking about Mars for quite some time now, whether it was the Hope probe Mars mission that the UAE has launched or talking about the Perseverance rover and how it has now landed on Mars this week. Now, the Mars 2020 mission does include the largest ever vehicle to be dispatched to the red planet. Now, just after a couple of days, that happened.
Yes, indeed. Now, let's put things into perspective. We had the Hope probe arriving into the Martian atmosphere at first, and then it was joined by the Chinese rover, and now NASA's Perseverance rover will be touching down on Mars on Thursday. So, one more day to go, and it's definitely going to be a very risky landing. That's all because they're planning to do one of the firsts to have ever happened on the surface of Mars. They do plan on flying a helicopter on the surface of Mars, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. Let's move on to talk about what this rover will be doing on the surface of Mars.
Yes, first of all, it does weigh a ton and has a robotic arm that is 7 feet or 2 meters long, and even has a whopping 19 cameras and even 2 microphones to record the Martian soundscape. Now, when it does arrive, Perseverance will be only the 5th rover to successfully complete the journey since Pathfinder in 1997. All have been American, and the last Curiosity is still active. Now, what will they be doing on Mars is a question where I believe that I think, first of all, we're going to learn a lot about the Mars mission,
yes,
about Mars in general, and that's going to give us a lot of insight on how we can use this information on our own planet.
Now, by now, I think a lot of people know that Mars and Earth are actually very similar in different ways. And in the past, they were even more similar. So scientists are interested in finding out what happened to change that. What happened for water crystals to disappear from the surface of Mars. But as we've mentioned, Mars is actually known as the only place which conditions actually come outside their planet. And we're going to be talking a little bit about why they're planning to fly a helicopter on Mars for the very first time. So seeing a helicopter hovering over Mars, that's going to be an interesting sight. But this helicopter will be looking a bit closer to what mini drones are like right here on Earth, because they have to weigh light, because you really can't carry a full helicopter in a rover, but they're also going to have to be driving or flying pretty fast. So we're looking at them flying about 5 times faster per minute than they would right here on the surface of Earth.
Yes, now it was transported abroad. The Mars 2020 spacecraft that will arrive at the red planet on Thursday And the small Ingenuity helicopter will have several challenges to overcome. The biggest being the rare flood Martian atmosphere, which is just 1% of the density of Earth. So obviously there's a lot of things because I do believe that there's no gravity on Mars.
Yes, and we're looking at this helicopter having 4 feet. It has a box-like body and 4 carbon fiber blades that are actually arranged in 2 different ways. So they're going to be spinning in opposite directions. It comes with 2 cameras, computers, and navigation sensors. But this will all only become a reality once the Perseverance rover actually makes it into the Martian atmosphere.
Yes, now each flight will only last up to a minute and a half compared to the 12 seconds that the Wright brothers did achieve with the first powered controlled flight in Kitty Hawk. So we're just kind of connecting history with each other. Now, Ingenuity will fly at altitudes of 10 to 15 feet or 3 to 5 meters and travel as far as 160 feet from its starting area and back.
If you're wondering why do they want to fly a helicopter into the Martian atmosphere, well, this helicopter could potentially help carry different payloads from one site to another. So, for example, if there's any rock or soil samples that they want the Perseverance rover to be able to analyze, this helicopter can help it out by transferring it to it. Let us know your thoughts. We're definitely going to be updating you on how the landing of the Perseverance rover happens on the surface of Mars, and that's planned to take place tomorrow. So keep Pulse 95 locked. We're going to be taking a short break, but once we come back, we're talking all about the Apple Watch, and you may just be looking at getting a free fix if it does not charge after downloading the latest update.
Daily digital news. Bits and bytes connect our world.
Now, yeah. Only excited.
Today is an interesting day.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. But every single time the Apple products come out with a new update, it's usually to fix issues that have been taking place on the device, whether it's an iPhone, a MacBook Pro, or even an Apple Watch. Recently, we've seen Apple becoming a bit more generous with their products, but that's only to fix issues that they have seen happening with their own devices. The latest of them all is the Apple Watch, because some people are looking to getting it fixed for free if their Apple Watch won't charge after downloading the latest update.
Yes, so we're talking about the Apple Watch Series 5 or the SE smartwatches from charging while in the battery-saving power reserve mode. But even the software update might not even fix the issue, according to Apple. And if it doesn't, the company will repair your watch for free. Now, they are saying that a very small number of customers with Apple Watch Series 5 or the Apple Watch SE models running iOS Watch 7.2 or 7.3 have experienced an issue with their watch not charging after it does enter the power reserve. Now, by the way, this does even implement and does kind of come in with your phone. So they're saying don't charge your phone on low battery mode. It will it will kill your battery.
I've heard that a lot of times, and I've actually disabled the whole option just so that I avoid that issue.
Yeah, and actually some guy on YouTube, he wanted to test it out. So he goes to the Apple Store, buys a brand new iPhone.
Okay.
100% battery. He waited until it came to 1%, put it on low battery mode, charged it, and then it became 99% the battery capacity.
No way.
Yeah, so it does eat up your battery. So and some people are saying you can charge it up to 80% on low battery mode, and then you should just disable low battery mode.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't want it.
You don't want it at all.
In general, because the phone becomes slow anyways when it's on low battery mode.
It does become slow because basically what happens is the phone is trying to optimize whatever battery is left for the main functions. But with the power reserve mode on your Apple Watch, you're basically looking at the watch becoming just a way of telling time. So it won't really help you count your calories. It won't really help you check your notifications. It just basically is used to tell time. And a very small number of customers have actually seen this issue, that their Apple Watch won't charge if it enters the power reserve mode. And if you went ahead and downloaded the latest software update and you still can't see your Apple Watch charging after you put it on the charger for at least 30 minutes, then Apple is asking all of its customers to go ahead and set up a free mail-in repair. So the company will actually inspect your watch to find out if it's eligible for that free repair, and then you'll get a free Apple fix.
Now, this does remind me of the iPhone 6 bending. When the iPhone 6 was bending, a lot of people actually had that problem. And my phone was bent, by the way. My iPhone 6 was bent, and I didn't know until I watched that video of them bending iPhone 6s. And so Apple, when they make a mistake, they'll pay for it. They'll pay for their mistake and say, hey, okay, give it to us for free. But Apple's smart because a lot of people will start bending their iPhone 6s to get brand new ones. So Apple is now smart enough saying that, hey, we're going to look at the durability test, see that if it was just something from the manufacturer or it's something you did, the consumer. But I mean, Apple Watches are very important in our day-to-day life, and it's becoming a necessity. Wearables in general are becoming a necessity. So not having that optimal battery life is a problem, and I'm glad to see Apple tackling that problem.
Let us know your thoughts. Have you been one of those minority that have actually struggled with their Apple Watch not charging after it enters the power reserve mode? Our text lines are open, 4215 do it to Salat or slide into our DMs at Pulse 95 Radio. Coming up on the show, we have a very interesting conversation with an advanced digital transformation consultant, Melda Akin, who is also the co-founder of Dimension 14 AI. She's going to be telling us all about the role of artificial intelligence when it comes to scheduling appointments, whether it was in hospitals, gyms, or even with delivery workers. Keep Pulse 95 locked. We'll be right back.
This is Future Talk.
Future Talk with Omnia Al Saleh and Hani Balkis.
Well, whenever we're talking about artificial intelligence, healthcare always becomes a part of the discussion. And we've seen AI making big moves when it comes to helping out patients and doctors during the COVID-19 pandemic. But I'm sure many of us did not know that a lot of the appointments that are scheduled with our healthcare practitioners actually come through artificial intelligence. They are the ones facilitating that discussion and that relationship between doctors and patients. Joining us today is an advanced digital transformation consultant, Melda Akin, who is the founder of D14 AI. She is definitely going to be giving us a lot of information about the role of AI when it comes to scheduling. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me again, guys. It's always nice to see you.
Welcome to the show. It is a pleasure. Now, we do see AI as becoming a key element during the coronavirus pandemic and in general. Now, going back, we do know that scheduling is laborious and it's often mismatched due to true needs. And sometimes it's even seen as a chore for many care teams. But how can AI help us schedule patients and doctors?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it's better to explain with the COVID status.
Yes.
You know, when COVID showed up and we were wondering what's going to happen and what is the current status. And then now the vaccination and the testing. Mm-hmm. You know, once we feel that we have a fever or we're, a little bit down and we said, oh my God, am I COVID positive or no?
And every time you cough, you think it's
exactly.
COVID.
And you have to explain why you cough. It's that, no, it was something on my throat. But before that, we never explain it. So what happened, he said, okay, I think I might get COVID. So what will be the first one? You're going to ask your friends how I can get tested, where I can get tested, how much is that, how long does it going to take? Do I have to wait for the queue, or is it a walk-through, or is it a drive-through? Lots of things. What we did, we opened up the WhatsApp groups, we had a calls, we have a Facebook groups and everything. Actually, this is the pandemic and this is unexpected, extraordinary, the alien statistic in the world. So how AI can help on this? So imagine that if that system, we feed the system, let's say that 10,000 hospitals in the region. And every hospital, it's the part of that platform. And we split the hours like the basic booking system. But the issue is how long it's gonna take.
Yes.
And how would be the behavior. So we say that, okay, it's a 20 minutes break for the one test. But if it's an old person, if it's a kid, or if it's someone, speak another language, it will add more time. So with this technology on the scheduling, you have a static pattern and you have the kind of defined process. And once AI implement this one, it can learn how would be the journey, and it will give the exact spot. Also imagine that you add it with your calendar, and based on your calendar, you will say that, okay, Omnia, you have a booking at the hospital Just giving the name. I don't know your advertisement rules, guys.
Yeah.
Any hospital right here in Sharjah, and then you get actually the the time that you would get for that specific appointment. And it would differ if you're an adult or if you're an old person or if you're a child.
So, person, let's say that, okay, I'm between 25 and 27.
Okay.
And then I'm English speaker.
Yes.
And I don't have any diagnosis before. It's for check, and this is my location, this is my budget, and this is the place that I want to go after get tested because I have a meeting at the IFC. And before that, I was in Dubai Marina. The system shouldn't give appointment for the healthcare city. It should be something between because there is also weather and the traffic.
Yes.
True.
So it will kind of know
adjusts
how
to
long
the
is your
conditions.
distance and what is more suitable for you.
Absolutely.
I'm giving in just one example
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the COVID is a hot topic.
It
It's more
is,
than
it is
booking.
the topic. COVID is the topic.
Yes, indeed. Coming up on the show, we're going to be talking all about the predictive analysis of artificial intelligence and whether or not it can actually predict when patients don't show up to certain hospitals and when they cancel. If you have any questions for Melda Akin, make sure you send them in at 4215 Do It Salat or slide into our DMs at Pulse 95 Radio.
This is Future Talk.
Future Talk with Omnia Al Saleh and Hani Balkis.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, hospitals have been flooded with patients. Beds were full, spaces at hospitals were definitely compromised, and we had a big rise in AI and virtual doctors helping patients get their needs. Now, you can definitely help patients by increasing the number of healthcare professionals, but it's also important that you make sure that physicians are available at the times that could meet the needs of these patients. Joining us today to talk to us all about the role of AI is an advanced digital transformation consultant, Melda Akin, who is also the founder of D14 AI. Thanks a lot for joining us once again.
Thank you. Thank you again.
It's a pleasure having you on the show. Now, going back and talking about AI in the medical sector, in the medical field. Now, in the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people were a little bit scared.
Yeah.
Not a little bit, they were a
Very
lot scared. And I was one of them. And just going back to your point, talking about if someone had a cough or something, hey, I got corona, I got COVID. Now, with AI, there was something coming up called a virtual doctor right here in the UAE. Now, can you go and talk to us about the virtual doctors and implementing AI and even machine learning?
Yeah, sure. First, don't worry, you're not alone. We all are scared. It was a weird thing. So, let me explain in that way. So, for example, we have a specific symptoms like coughing and fever, but there might be a couple of reasons. It might be, the allergy, it might be just a basic flu, and it might be, unfortunately, COVID. So there is a specific places that needs to be followed and checked. So once we feel that something wrong, what we want to do, we want to see the doctor. But these doctors are super, super busy, and the hospitals were full and so crowded. And every doctor has a specialty, availability, and their own status. And there is also regulations and law, and labor law. So it needs to be super optimized to be able to maximize the doctors and the nurses' hours to be able to, to help more serious cases, because every cough, every fever may not be, it's not COVID. So what was the idea about the virtual doctors or the chatbot doctors? So whoever you talk with the doctor, firstly they ask, okay, do you have fever? Let's measure it. Are you coughing?
Is it dry?
Is
or
it dry? Is
not
it
dry?
heavy? And what's happening? And have you, the face with any positive COVID case?
Yeah.
So these are the standards. And once there's an AI chatbot or, the virtual assistant, it's very easy and time saving. Because once the 5 or the 10 question, if it's no, it's definitely, most probably, as far as I know, I'm not doctor, and it's not COVID.
Yeah.
So that's why it will help reduce the time and give more space to doctors to exactly they helped more serious cases.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about chatbots, because many people actually don't really prefer talking to chatbots. Sadly, I'm one of them, but let's say you're calling telecommunication regulatory authority, you're calling Ittisalat Do, you're immediately put on hold with that AI chatbot that can't stop talking. So let's talk a little bit about how helpful they can be. So in your opinion, does implementing them in a certain hospital, should people give them more time and trust them a little bit more, or do they just go and press 0 or whatever that number is to talk to a human operator or a human healthcare professional?
Yeah. Honestly, I think that, the implementation and the service provision is extremely important. I also don't like, but why we don't like this? If there is a system that exactly knows the possible answers and the expected questions, that will be easy. You would love it. But if say, okay, hello, welcome to XYZ, for Arabic speaker, press 1.
Yeah.
For English, press 2.
Yeah.
So
And then it
becomes
tells you the history of the hospital before it actually starts and talks about what it is that you need.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a great feedback I always say, but this is the marketing strategy. Sorry, nothing to do
True.
for that one. So this system should be organized in a way that to be able to reply all the possible questions. So if the system is designed in a way that, okay, these are the possible questions that we may get. These are less important, but even the not important one, that should be on the system.
True.
Since we can't find a reply, and we got stressed, we pissed off, and
Yeah.
said that what kind of service you guys are providing?
Yeah.
I want a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Operator.
Now, I believe in some situations having a chatbot or AI would be very good. For example, talking about, again, the medical field and the medical industry. For someone who has a mental illness, for example, and they don't feel comfortable opening up to a person, maybe an AI or chatbot could kind of give them kind of a sense of relief, because sometimes people just want to
Vent.
talk and vent and
Yeah.
say what's bothering them. And sometimes they have a fear of judgment. They don't want someone judging them. Even though a medical professional is not supposed to judge you, and they don't judge you, some people do have that fear. So I do believe that having chatbots and AI could actually benefit a lot of those people who do suffer from mental problems.
Actually, the psychology and the emotions is a little bit different topic.
Yeah.
So what I believe is it can help, it can reduce, but I do think that this is a subject that also needs a human touch.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, for example, people we get depressed. And why we get depressed? Because we feel this lack of something.
Yes.
True.
So a couple of the chatbots, I really like them, and also, the checking what's going on, how it works. The frequency of the reply, it needs to be improved. But for the basic things, not the heavy cases, the normal cases, I think they do help.
It's a great point that you bring up, because during the COVID-19 pandemic, many AI and robots were actually used to keep COVID-19 patients company. They suffered from loneliness, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, when it was not just being isolated, but it was also the fear of the unknown, not knowing what's going to be happening to them.
Yeah.
I think they really played a big role in keeping them company, but also lessening that fear. And that brings me to another question that has to do a lot with the patients, because we do know that a lot of patients tend to book appointments but not really show up, or they end up canceling or not even canceling last minute. They just don't show up. So in your opinion, how can artificial intelligence help prevent such situations from happening in a hospital and wasting the time of the doctor that on an appointment that was possibly going to be booked for another patient?
I think there are two main pillars, one from the patient side, one from the clinic hospital side. For the patient side, we are here now, and we do all have agenda. So we might not have as well. So as I said, the first example, when I, the call, I wait on the line, and sometimes the app doesn't work, and it's not a good match for me. Then I said, okay, the 1 p.m. is okay. I said, oh my God, I have a meeting. I cannot make this one. Let me reschedule it, but my mind is so busy, then I cannot turn.
Yeah.
But if there's a system that knows me as a patient, Melda, and what I want to do, where I want to go, and based on my own agenda, my own availability, instead of keep checking and talking, that will be a great asset for that side. For the clinic side, at the end of the day, there is a time slots, and the business is selling these time slots. So one patient calls the reception, and they said, okay, I want 10:30. And the calendar, it seems it's empty.
Yeah.
And they give that appointment to that patient. However, if there is a system that can optimize the calendar, instead of giving 10:30, if they give 9:45 or maybe 10, they can help two patients instead of
At
one.
the same time.
Exactly.
I
Instead
like
of
that.
one, because there will be the dead hours break. So this is one part of the optimization. And the no-shows, this is it's a very important point, and because it's also a little bit linked with the culture.
Yes.
For example, that was the funny story. When I work, when I meet with my German friends or the Dutch friends,
They're
I have
so
to be on time,
point.
and especially I have to be there before 15 minutes.
Yes.
Because this is a critical life and death.
Yes,
Yes.
You have to be there. And for example, if you say 10 a.m., if you become 10:01, so where are you? This is the 1
Yes.
minute.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
funny because many German brands, when they make a promise to a customer, let's say we'll service your car in 90 minutes, 90 minutes the car will be serviced. They're very on time. But then you have other cultures notoriously known. A lot of
Yes.
Arabs can be very late, but also other cultures can either be on time, a bit later, a bit earlier. So the culture definitely plays a big role in that.
Exactly. And I think Arab and Brazil, it's super, super similar.
Yeah.
So, and also, what I learned, this pillar and this topic or my personal previous experience. It's a time for it. It's even, the normal life. If I, become 5 or 10 minutes late, I know that my friends here, they're not going to make a big
deal.
problem.
Yeah.
But if it's, to someone else, I know that I'm in a trouble, so they may kill me as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So if the system, let's say, okay, I'm Omnia, I live in Sharjah, these are the things, these are the places I live in. And if it's the second or the third or the new appointments you do, the system can understand your
Exactly.
possible behavior by learning from your history.
Fantastic.
And the system may say that, okay, Omnia, your appointment is 9:30, but actually it's 9:40, and the AI knows because it knows that you might be a little bit late.
Yeah, yeah.
So it'll
Play
play
tricks on you. Just so you can get on time. That's a very interesting topic, and that will bring us to the next question, privacy. But we're going to be taking a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be asking you all about patients' privacy.
This is Future Talk.
Future Talk with Omnia Al Saleh and Hani Balkis.
AI, oh AI, we are always scared of it taking over our jobs, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've also seen it save many lives, whether it was in optimizing the time of healthcare professionals, treating patients, or even in dealing with patients themselves, helping them stay company during their isolation. But how can artificial intelligence help optimize the way appointments are scheduled, and can they maintain our privacy? Joining us today is Melda Akin, who is a digital transformation consultant and the founder of D14 AI. It's been such a great conversation with you today, Melda.
Yes,
Thank you.
we're having so much fun. But again, a topic always does come to mind. We're talking about technology, future AI, privacy. A lot of people want their information to be private, but how is the patient's privacy maintained on this type of system?
There are actually the business side and the law side, and then the software side. So the one is, as we all know, GDPR, and everything should be super private and it should be located. There are some rules and some procedure that has to be followed. Other than that's crazy fines.
Yeah.
And the second one is the country regulations.
Yes.
For example, in the UAE, all the healthcare data should be located in the UAE. Even if you want to use the cloud systems, these physical servers also should be in UAE.
Okay.
So that is the country rules and the GDPR rules. For the software side, we depend on the client mostly. But also, they have to follow the GDPR and also the other regulations.
Yeah.
That's why, for example, just a basic example, let's say that you are a doctor, you're in the clinic, you can open it up and you can look at the details of your patient. But if you are in the restaurant, and you said, okay, what happened to
This
that patient?
patient.
Let me check. The system is not allow you to see.
Okay, so privacy is very much only contained within the hospital.
Yeah.
You can't access data outside.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's very important, again, because yes, we're looking at in general, a lot of advancements in technology, but unfortunately, some companies are taking advantage of that, and our number one friend is Facebook. So privacy is a concern when it does come to just sharing our data.
Now, theoretically speaking, I'm sure a lot of people tuning in might be thinking, a very talented human could also do the work of scheduling. They could collect the data, they could analyze it, and set every patient to meet with a certain doctor. But I'm sure when it comes to discussing it with an AI professional and someone who's been dealing with AI on a day-to-day basis, you may have different thoughts about the benefits of AI over humans. Can you tell us more about that?
Actually, our focus is not, the taking the role of the human.
Yes.
So it's how we can support human. So, we may get tired physically, we may get tired mentally. And this is actually the more dangerous than the others. So how AI can help, like the example that I gave, if a patient calls them, let's say that you're a receptionist, and they says, okay, I want a 10:30, but actually the patient may be flexible, and you might be so busy and so tired, and it might be difficult
for the idea to click in your mind to schedule other time.
Exactly, schedule other time, or where you need to schedule and how you're gonna do it. What will be the history of that patient? Because we also have not only the healthcare history, we also have an appointment behavior history as well. If the system shows, okay, this patient is, for example, only prefer the English language, or this patient may be rude, and one of the doctor maybe complain about that one, and he said, okay, I don't want to see that patient, and the system, instead of saying that, oh my God, it's busy, saying that the system shows doctor A, B, C, which one you want to see, instead of getting on that conversation. So, the cutting the frustration, cutting on the decision making, and the back and forth communication,
Amazing. Now, just to end this off, last question. What is the future of AI? I mean, we've seen AI do a lot of big things, and obviously this isn't the end. Where do you see AI going in the future?
Well, the spectrum is huge. So once we say AI, there is an image processing, natural language processing, automations, robotics, expert system, and optimization. So the researchers, they work like crazy, and every day we learn something. So just look at the 10 years ago, 10 years back. What was there? And now it grows exponentially. So I'm sure we will be saving more lives. I'm sure we will be helping more people. And I'm sure I believe we will have a better world to live in.
There you have it, folks.
A future that I'm very excited to see coming to life soon. Melda Akin, founder of D14 AI, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And to everyone else tuning in, thank you so much for lending us your ears. Future Talk is coming to an end, but we're going to be opening the airwaves for the only place to be at 3, the halftime show with Omar Al-Douri. He's going to be giving you all that you need to know about emotional fitness, mental health, as well as what is going on in the world of sports.
Yes, very interesting topics to talk about when it does come with Omar Al-Douri. So keep Pulse 95 locked, because we'll be right back.
If you liked this episode of Future Talk, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.